All right, moment of truth. I started this channel 2 months ago, and so far I've put out 3 videos. And in that process, I've been learning what to do here. But the truth is, this is a moment of truth. It's a moment of reckoning for me. Because I've been noticing it takes me so long to put out the video that it just hasn't been feeling right for me. And while I'm still trying to figure my way out in terms of what to do, what I've come to realize is that I have still been curating stories. I have been crafting and curating. Now, the truth is, this is an old habit that I picked up when I first got into marketing communications and public relations, and I was taught how to craft a story and how to factually support it and research it and put it into a chronological order and present it in a certain flow that achieves an outcome. And I missed this when I started this channel. Much as I am a storyteller, everybody in my life knows, my friends, my husband knows, I've got this thing that I say, which is long story short. And it's never short. The story carries on for way longer than anyone usually expects or is prepared to sit around for. Because storytelling for me is about the detail, the nuance, the experience that I had, which I'm trying to relay and share. And the truth is, in these first 2 or 3 videos I made, while I enjoyed the experience of learning to edit in a program like DaVinci Resolve, which is way different. It's actually an official editing program versus, I suppose, something like CapCut, which is made for easy editing without the background technical ability. While I've enjoyed the process of learning, and I'm still going to be making my videos in DaVinci, I've been so sidetracked by the process and the production of it that it's lost the heart of storytelling for me. It actually even makes me emotional because words do flow through me easily. And I've been trying to box the words to make them fit in a format that the algorithm says is right, without mistakes, without bridging words like and and. And it feels like I've taken out a part of me and I haven't actually been sharing the full me. And it's been heavy. And the reason I'm telling these stories is because I want to share things that matter to me, things that inspire, that lift, that maybe mean something somewhere. And so, I was not expecting those tears, but this is it. I realized that for the last 2 weeks, I've been working on 2 edits, which are the next stories, which I promised on my new channel. And it's the story of my first 18-hour sail as a brand new crew member on the yacht I'm now working on, and then what my first season was like. But it's taken me 56 hours of editing one video over the last 2 weeks because I've been curating. Every time I looked at the edit, there were so many chopped scenes, so many overlays, trying to patch my style of speaking with the ums and the ahs. And around last night sometime, I could feel myself standing in front of this brick wall with it. Something wasn't moving. Now, I'm grateful that with my background in coaching for the last 7, 8 years, 6, 7 years, that I understand myself a lot clearer. So when I come up to a feeling like this, I know something's going on and I don't ignore it. And so I sat in the discomfort of the fact that this video edit is just not working for 2 weeks. And I kept coming back to it and I put it down and I kept coming back. And last night I let it sit. I just let it sit after I tried one last time. And this morning, while I was sitting just taking quiet time for myself, it came to me that I haven't been doing my version of storytelling. And so here it is. This is upfront early in my channel. It's a reset because I need to do me. When I had the burnout breakdown, which I mentioned in a story back here, I ended up in that place because I had curated myself for survival in the outside world. And when that happened, I made an agreement with myself that I would never curate myself to the extent that it hid who I am. I wrote a line in a poem that I wrote called Pleased to Meet Me. And I talk about how raw and wild and free and untamed I am. And if there's one thing that's kind of followed me my whole life is this being in search of my own freedom, the right to be who I am, just as I am. And so if it doesn't suit many people, that's okay. But I cannot contain myself anymore in ways to make it comfortable for other people. So here I am saying, what you're getting going forward is raw format, as it is. Unbrushed hair for days, messy background if it needs to be, a plane flying overhead as it often does, because I have to film outdoors most of the time because of living on a yacht. The interior spaces are quite small, and so I do try to find different spaces, but the point being, raw format. And already, right here in my gut, is this deep softening, like a knot that's been put down, this relaxation. That this is actually me, storyteller, like I was when I was little, 4 or 5 years old. And I always talk about how I got called into my grandparents' lounge to tell stories when we visited there in my upbringing days, and I could pull things out of the ether, seeing a picture on the wall, noticing an aunt wearing something, and I would weave those things into my stories, live, raw, unedited. And so this is like a return to self in such a powerful way for me, because I have no other choice left in the world. Things have reached a point where there's such absolute clarity within me that I don't have a choice to be anyone else but me. And so even though I really struggle to look at the camera because my mind wanders and it sees pictures and I want to draw from that and bring it here, I can't hold dead eye camera contact because I was not trained for that and I don't want to be. So as it is, you're going to get this version. And if you're along for this ride, welcome. And if this format doesn't suit you and you need a different, more produced channel, then there are others available for you, and perhaps this is not the space you'll enjoy. But for anyone else who's wanting to stay and feel real life, real humanness, real authenticity, then welcome here. And so while I'm going to go off and delete the last 2 videos I've been editing because they are not me, they don't feel like me, in the meanwhile, I am going to pop a whole bunch of shorts and other little edits I made, quite raw still, but about things I love. I made a little video about cooking cabbage stew in the middle of my first winter year in France, because that day it rained and it reminded me of cabbage stew during winter days in Cape Town, South Africa, where I grew up. Or just sitting at the yacht, sitting at the back of the yacht watching the fish in the water, or walking in the forest, or being mesmerized by the moon as I am every night, even when she's not visible. I have a thing with the moon. So I'm going to share some of these little shorts, little stories I've made, some with voiceover, some no voice, some just music. And you can watch some of that in the meanwhile, while I then come back and retell those stories I wanted to tell about my first 18-hour sail and my first season as a stewardess in the Med, and then all the other stories that are going to come, but from a very different space versus what I put out in these first 3 videos from me. So welcome here, and I feel quite relieved that I've shared this. And as always, big love. Big love.